Welcome everybody to the Green Switch Journey, the final conference of the Life Plants for Plants project. Please welcome our hosts during this event, Deshan Gayen, our agronomist, project developer, alias the dancer.
He's a good singer.
Thank you. Then, welcome to Green Switch Journey, the final conference of the Life Plants for Plants project. Today, actually, we would like to give a special welcome to our special guest, Lady Natalia from Ukraine. And we would like to give you to know that we are from you, always from your family, and from your with your friends as well. Thank you very much for that. We are actually now in a green switch journey. This is actually the milestone in the journey. We celebrate end of the life program. All of you know what is the life program, but it's not so usual to celebrate end of something. But actually, we celebrate the beginning of something new. What is new? Actually, we would like to change the rules in a plant nutrition. That's the point. We cannot do alone as a Iperen International. We can do that just with you. Then we need you. All together, we can make the changes. We can make the changes in agriculture. We believe in you, and we will do the business, and it will be the start. Now, I would like to introduce today's program. Today's program will have two parts. First part will be dedicated to Green Switch, and the second part will be dedicated for the presenting Plants for Plants trials. Also, I would like to say that you have on your chair, before you sit, you have the map. When you open that, there is the map where we are and where we will be tomorrow. And on the other side is actually full program with all informations. We know each other very well, but let us know all your questions. You can give the question to Patricia, she is there, and to Marine. Of course, all Iperen team. Just I would like to inform you actually that we will have the live stream of this presentation. And we can start with the introduction of our three speeches today in a first part of Green Switch discussion. The first one is Eric van der Berg, Managing Director of Iperen International, alias Marathon Man. We will speak with him about Green Switch vision in Iperen International. The second one will be our Mark van Oers, Director of Innovation in Iperen International, and of course, it's logic we will speak about innovations, and the project, what we are doing in the innovations. And the third one is our Adriano Altissimo, President and Director of Land Lab, alias the Marathon. Mountaineer. Sorry. It could be as well, of course. Of course. He's running faster than me for sure. Then let's start Green Switch discussion.
This is you and what you do, your crop.
your craftsmanship. This is us and the things we do. Together we feed a growing world population. And like you, we are determined to continue doing just that. So let's go on a journey together. We can change the future by changing the present. We can use what nature has taught us and what it has to offer. We can switch to plant-based biostimulation without having to adjust our way of working or our yield expectations. We can apply circular processes and produce nitrate fertilizers with a negligible carbon footprint. We're not just dreaming up plans for tomorrow, this is what we're doing today. At Iperen International, we've made the green switch. We can make conventional agriculture sustainable. Feed the people of today and the children of tomorrow. Let's make the green switch.
Then we just saw our new corporate video with our new vision, let's make the green switch. Now we will start our conversation. Then first of all, I would like to invite Eric to join us for the table. Thank you very much. Please, here you are. Thank you. Then all of you knows who is Eric, yes? But maybe he can tell us a little bit more about himself and for the people who doesn't know him.
Well, thank you, Dusan, first of all. I'm Eric, indeed, as you said, Managing Director of Iperen International since the beginning, 12 years ago, coming from Haifa at that time. I'm actually a father of 3 grown-up children, and in the meantime also have 3 grandchildren. I'm Dutch, although I happily live in Belgium since, well, more than 35 years. And okay, that's me.
Yes, but we saw that you are a marathon man as well. Yes.
Well, that's a bit an overstatement.
Okay.
But I did a few.
You feel enjoyed in that, yes?
I like very much running early in the morning. That's what. Yeah.
Then actually this is good for all of us, maybe to start. But let's be back on the topic. In last 12 years, what is the development of the Iperen International?
Well, maybe before that, even to mention that Iperen as a group is actually last year celebrated 100-year anniversary. So it's a group with a very long history, basically a family-owned company, generation after generation. And it is in that environment of a Dutch market leader that we had the privilege in 2010 to start Iperen International in order to develop the export business of the group with specialty fertilizers. At that time, I came to the owners of Iperen, and we agreed together that this export opportunity is something that the company was not having. We started Iperen International at that moment. As I said, the focus was on specialty fertilizers. And a couple of years after that, we also started with what we call high-performing solutions. So these are the biostimulants. At first, it was more based on seaweed products and all kind of that kind of products. While the mineral fertilizers, specialty fertilizers that we call essentials, is of course and still today also a very important part. In that period of time, and in the first 10 years, I would say, the focus for Iperen International was to develop a distribution network. Today, we are present in about 100 or over 100 different countries, having our distributors. And when you start a fertilizer business, it is also very important to create a certain critical mass. because not only your customers, but also your supply partners, yeah, they want to know to work with a strong company that can move a certain volume, a certain product. And that's why we really, the focus for the first 10 years of Iperen International was to grow the business and to set up the marketing platform, as to say.
And so far you explained us about fertilizer business distribution, but actually we're really interested in green switch. When actually the green switch started and from where comes the idea of the green switch now?
Well, indeed, as I said, 10 years of growth, and then at a certain moment you ask yourself, okay, what is the ambition of the group? Do we want to continue just to grow, and is the main challenge is to grow, or do we like to do something more meaningful, or to be more disruptive, if you like? And at the same time, we all noticed that the whole climate discussion started in the world, and it became a very important topic also for agriculture to get to a more sustainable form of growing. We as Van Iperen, we are strong in I would say conventional traditional farming. We believe in the conventional farming, so we didn't want to go only to organic farming, but to the contrary, we would like to contribute how conventional farmers, how to make them sustainable and how to make them able to cope with the challenges of today. And actually, yeah, of course, when you do such a move, you also need projects. You need a certain yeah, you need to even have a little bit of luck. That certain projects that you come across, you're able to develop them. And yeah, after Mark will go more into details, what are the main projects that we have today. But indeed, Lucian, the mission of our company today is to really contribute to make agriculture more sustainable, with a close to zero carbon footprint, with protecting the environment, etc., etc.
It sounds really promising, but why you believe that Van Iperen International will be able to be a leader in such a big and important project? We can say a world project.
Well, of course, it remains to be seen if we shall really be or become a leader. However, we indeed feel quite strong about our potential to take a significant role in this move to a more greener and sustainable agriculture. Basically, because we have the freedom to really look around us to see what kind of technologies, what kind of new products, new concepts are available and could really be disruptive in agriculture. We are not a big multinational that has big factories, and although they also definitely, I believe, would like to go greener, but first of all, they have to secure their factories and to continue the way they do today with those factories. We are in a more luxury situation. We can be more we have more freedom to look around and to see, okay, what can really what is necessary, how can we support that, and how can we develop that and distribute that in our global distribution network. So I believe that is a possibility that we have as a relatively newcomer, that some of the traditional fertilizer multinationals don't have. You can even compare it in other segments where usually it are outsiders that are becoming disruptive. It is often not the market leader that is the first one to change the market. So in that sense, Lucian, I hope that we as Van Iperen, with our eagerness as a relative Van Iperen International, as an eagerness of a relatively young company, we have this eagerness to be indeed disruptive and to show the world that we can contribute to the more sustainable way that we all definitely have to go to.
Thank you very much for that. Now I would like to ask you to stay here with us because now we will be moved to the other colleague. This is Mark. I would like to invite you for the table. Welcome. Thank you very much. Here you are. Then, as I said already, Mark is our Director of Innovations. Without him, we will not have such a big support in our work. Before we start, I would like to ask Mark to introduce a little bit more himself.
Yeah, my name is Mark. I'm younger than Eric, and I'm older than the people we were referring to Nasser, so we are more or less in between. I'm 50 years old, and I'm very happy to look down at the younger generation, and still very happy to be able to look up at the older generation. I am, next to my work for Phosphate International, I am also a farmer. Within Phosphate International, I'm responsible for innovation. 3 kids, not married yet, but hopefully soon. With the mother of the 3 kids, but I stay over 25 years.
Then, Mark, you mentioned us that you are also farmer. I think this is a good combination between to being farmer and to being Director of Innovation. Can you explain a little bit more us the link between 2 positions in your life?
Yeah, as a farmer, I face the daily challenges of being an arable farmer. I'm growing sugar beets, potatoes, seed potatoes, chicory, barley. I try to do that in the Netherlands, so that's quite a luxury position, to be honest, because we have a mild climate. Until recently, we could use whatever chemicals we liked to use. We have very fertile soils, although the people from the Hoekse Waard will say sandy soils are not fertile, but in comparison to many other soils, they definitely are. So that's from that perspective, we have we are farming in a luxury position. Still, we have to do a lot for marginal revenues. Next to that, other challenges that we have is that the amount of chemicals that we are allowed to use is significantly reducing. The variety of chemicals is significantly reducing. But also, if you look at the latest development in the nitrogen and the potassium prices, so that is a huge challenge that we are facing as a farmer. And that exactly is also what I'm working on with Phosphate International, to find solutions that are as high tech, in fact, as the current synthetically derived solutions, but then more sustainable. And that is and helping us to become increase nutrient use efficiency, to increase water use efficiency. That is a very nice combination.
Then this is actually how from less make more in your farm. Yes, less input, make more yield products. And when you finish with your farm, you go to your official job and you start to innovate that, to make conclusion of that.
In my heart, my official job is the farm, by the way.
Okay, this is okay. In your heart, we will. That's good. That's good. But when you start with innovative projects, what is the most innovative projects in your organization is currently working on?
Yeah, we are working on 2 different tracks. So first of all, we are trying to find a new kind of biostimulants. We all know that if you look at the biostimulant world, it's harder, rather small. We have seaweeds, humics, amino acids next to the microbials, but that represents 95%, I would say, if not 99% of the total amount of biostimulants. So we try together, amongst others, with the LandLab, and Adriano and Christina later on will go really into the details. But that is what we like to develop, to increase water use efficiency and nutrient use efficiency with the plants for plants concept. So that is one side of the medal. The other side of the medal is to try to formulate and to produce new type of, not new type of fertilizers, but the same fertilizers like potassium sulfate, like potassium nitrate, like hopefully soon also nitric acid, to produce exactly, chemically speaking, the same kind of chemicals, but then in a way more sustainable, in a far more sustainable way. And that is what, the other side of the medal of the Let's Make the Green Switch is about.
All right. Then in Green Switch project, yes, all of you, our partners, did the P4P trials. We will see later on what about that. But Green Switch, as Mark mentioned, just to repeat, is really more project and more targets for us. And we will now start to speak about the other project what we have. I heard for some really important project is the CINIS project. Can you please tell us more about this project?
Yeah, in the CINIS project, CINIS is the company that we work together with, and they are building, as we speak, a factory to produce potassium sulfate. But to produce potassium sulfate, granular as well as water soluble, in a completely different way. The far majority of the potassium sulfate being used in the world is produced according to the Mannheim process. In this specific case, where the sulfur, by the way, is coming from the sulfuric acid that is used in the Mannheim process, is coming from a burning process of sulfur from the crude oil industry. So in the case of the CINIS project, we would like to use circular sulfur. So first of all, the project is built in the north of Sweden. I'm not sure what is behind me, but that's behind me. Okay. First of all, the project is being built in the north of Sweden, where you have a big paper pulp industry. So today, a lot of the paper pulp industry the paper pulp industry has a sulfur flow, and the sulfur flow is washed away in the ocean. So part of the sulfur that we would like to use in this CINIS project is this specific sulfur that currently is wasted in the ocean. The other part of the sulfur is coming from the company that's called Northvolt, and they are going to recycle batteries from the BMWs and the Audis of this world. There is a lot of sodium sulfate in these batteries. So that is the other part of the sulfur that we will use. So instead of using sulfur from the crude oil industry being burned, we are going to use sulfur from the process of from the recycling industry. Another positive step in this regard is the fact that we do not need, in the process that was developed by Siemens, we don't need 600-700 degrees Celsius in order to make the reaction between the sulfuric acid and the potassium chloride happening. What we can do with very close to ambient temperatures. So you can imagine that also from energy requirements, it's a completely different ballgame. Those are not the only two advantages, because we even have a third side advantage, Dusan, and that's the fact that a big byproduct of the Mannheim process is the sodium of the HCl, so hydrogen chloride, and that's the limitation for growth of the SOP industry. In fact, in our case, we don't have HCl as a byproduct, but we have sodium chloride, and the sodium chloride is also a more usable product as a byproduct. So these are the pluses of the SOP production that we are looking into together with Siemens in comparison to the Mannheim process. Talking about the different roles, Siemens is really the party that's going to industrialize. They have the brains to develop the technology. They have the power to industrialize this plant, and they see us as their partner to go into the market, because we think we at least understand a good part of the market and how to position it.
Okay, thank you very much. And when you speak about this project, is it pure green agricultural project comparable? Can we say that?
To a certain sense, it is comparable in the sense of the way of cooperating with other companies. So where Siemens had the brains and is industrializing the project, the technology that we are using to transfer ammonium from manure into nitrates, today potassium nitrate and hopefully soon also nitric acid. This technology is coming from the wastewater industry and was developed by the company Pure Green Agriculture. That's a US-based company. Just like Siemens, they approached us a few years ago, and we said, okay, that's all these kind of ideas are part of trying to make the green switch. First, both companies tried to approach the big guys, but the doors of the big guys didn't go open, just as Eric already explained. And then they came to us. On one hand, we were big enough to make a global impact together with all of you guys. And on the other hand, we were not too big to be inflexible. And that's why they started to cooperate with us. So from that perspective, it's comparable with the Siemens project. But the idea is not to produce potassium sulfate, but the idea, as already shortly explained, is to produce nitrate fertilizers and NO3 fertilizers based from NH4, from ammonium coming from manure or from, in fact, other waste in the waste streams.
Okay, but can you tell us a little bit more about, all this project have some impact on the environment? Production has some impact on the environment. Can you explain us this impact on this production process on our environment?
Yeah. So, like I said, the potassium sulfate is produced merely according to the Mannheim process, the regular existing potassium sulfate for the streams. If you talk about nitrate streams, Mr. Habel, Mr. Bosch, and Mr. Ostwald, early 1900, far from our age, Nasser, they developed this technology, and with thanks to them, we are able to feed the world population. But these processes are very, very energy consuming because, again, high temperatures, high pressure, in order to catch the nitrogen from the air, to turn it into ammonia, and from ammonia into nitrate. And that is something that in the green switch process, as those who join us tomorrow in Hardenberg will see, that is our process is far less energy consuming. We get the NH4 from the manure and turn that with the help of bacteria into nitrates. And from that perspective, there is far less energy required, far less CO2 emission. And on top of that, in the Netherlands, we have a problem that's called nitrogen. The nitrogen emission problem, which is a huge problem in the Netherlands, and it's really influenced the economy in a large way. If you would apply this ammonium via manure on the field, you have a loss of 15 to 20%, independent on how you do that. But if you take the ammonium from the manure, turn it into nitrate and use it, which is not volatile, and use it in a circular system like in the Dutch greenhouses, then of course the 15 to 20% emission will go down to close to zero. In science, Adriano, zero doesn't exist, but close to zero. So from that perspective, it's not only a CO2 emission problem that we are attacking, but it's also a nitrogen problem that we are attacking.
Thank you very much. It sounds really good and nice for the future for sure. You mentioned also the other projects. As far as we know, we have cooperation with one company from Finland. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that's still a little bit more time requiring, I would say, but that's the Finnish company Neova, and that's a partly state-owned company who owns a lot of areas of peat moss. So you know that the peat moss substrate industry is a huge industry, but also there is a lot of movements going on. So again, together with the LandLab, we are and together with Neova, we are looking and analyzing whether or not these peat mosses could be used as humic acids, so to be able to turn them into humic acids. So not humic acids coming from leonardite, which today is a far majority of the humic acids, of course, but to use these peat mosses, so a non-mining product instead. So to harvest the peat moss and to produce humic acids. What we have seen until now, together with the help of LandLab and also together, of course, with the research of Neova themselves, is that you can indeed produce far more bioactive humic acids, and also not only produce them in a more sustainable way, but also use less of humic acids in order to get the same results. Today, together with Laurent and with Zaid, we are distributing the first humic acids into the market in order to build the first experience from the market, and already next year we will be able to increase this line. That's a third example of a project where we would like to make a green switch.
Then, so far we heard several projects what we are doing now, but Mark mentioned he is a farmer, yes? When you can go in the shop and buy all of these products?
As a farmer, I have a little bit of a head start, both in availability and in price-wise, but that's a secondary thing.
Oh, I think this is it.
But the potassium sulfate, like I mentioned, the Siemens is building the factory, so it will be 2023, 2024 before the first products will be in the market. In regard to the green switch, we are now at a production of 4 to 6 tons per day and increasing as we speak. In regard to the humic acids, like we said, we have first very limited quantities available in the market. Still have to learn a lot from these quantities available, but also there in the coming 3-4 years, we really hope to be able to make a difference on that as well. So all these 3 projects are what we could call close to market, in fact.
Sounds good as well. Thank you for that. At the end of your part of discussion, can you please tell us a bit more about Plants for Friends project to make some introduction?
We were, or at least Adriano 10-15 years ago, were triggered by the existing biostimulants, and we then together developed this project to the current status. But if you look, for instance, like seaweed, well, it does it what it does because seaweed is growing in very extreme conditions, at flood, heat, cold, you name it. From that perspective, it has certain actives inside that if you extract them well, we all know you could forward these characteristics on other plants and increase abiotic resistance. So having this in mind, we started to look for other crops that could do a specific thing in a very good way. Like for instance, phosphate uptake. So that's the first product one of the first products that we put in the market. So the phosphate uptake, which crops are very good in phosphate uptake? Why are they so good? Which active ingredients are causing that? And if you would grow these specific crops, even one specific variety that contains the most of these specific actives, if you would grow that, extract that, just like with the idea of seaweed, and reapply that on other crops, what would then happen? Would you then increase phosphate use efficiency or water use efficiency or whatever? And with thanks to the help of Christina and Adriano, or thanks to all the research done by them, it appears indeed to be so. So that's up to Adriano to go more in detail.
Okay. Thank you very much for conversation. Please stay with us, and I would like now to be more focused on Plants for Plants project.
Are smart little fellows. During millions of years, they have overcome numerous diseases and adapted to changing circumstances. Today, we are able to blend the evolutionary achievements of plants into the everyday practice of agriculture. First, we figure out what the crop lacks. Then we look for other species that already have acquired the properties needed. By applying organic extracts of these plants, we trigger specific reactions in the crop. This improves water and nutrient use efficiency and strengthens the plants by increasing crop fortification. Plants for Plants is a truly revolutionary approach, and it can be used for organic and conventional agriculture. Plants talk, we listen.
After this nice movie, I would like to invite Adriano. Please have a seat. Oh. Then Adriano, welcome to our discussion. Can you please tell us a little bit more about you?
Yes, so yeah, I'm older, so my story will be longer.
We like long stories, don't worry.
It's a circular story. So I started my after university as a consultant for farmers, so for a farmer organization. So that's the very beginning in the last century. And then today I'm the founder and the CEO of LandLab. So LandLab is an R&D team. And, I started as a LandLab 12 years ago, but before I was always dealing with plants, dealing with research, still also doing a lot of land planning, landscaping. teacher before he was teacher in the high school of agriculture, founder of agricultural cooperative. So my life was always turning around plants somehow, different ways. And today back to the farmer, to you, of course. So that's for me is a really pleasure to be able to go back to the beginning. But there are some key words in my life, not only working life, not only my job, which are related to nature. So this is to me the heart of my nature also. So that's my story at the end. So and the other, if I have to characterize some of my traits, and Mark knows me very well, and Eddie also, I hardly I'm able to split my private life from my activity. So to me, it's a unit. So that's my concept. That's my lifestyle, and then I cannot do anything again. So I have to live with it. So that's a gift for me, but I'm happy about that.
It is really nice. But do you Plants for Plants project, where and when are the roots of the Plants for Plants?
You know, the root might be very deep in a life. So in fact, my roots are very deep. So I started, I know why, be very sensitive to the environment. So already in the late 60s, you maybe remember the 68, the students' revolution. At that time, I was also active. And at that moment, I started to realize that something had to change. I was studying also philosophy, history, all these things. And then I started to think something has to change somewhere because that's not possible. So the key word were connection, integration, holistic, multicultural, inclusion. Those were and still are the keywords for crucial for me. And this is the garden I'm taking care of. So the embryo was there. Later, at the end of the 90s, also agriculture started to change. I have a short story, just a few sentences. And it was in 1998, I was in Canada. I visited the Ethnographic Museum of Vancouver. It's very interesting because the native population of the Northwest America, already 1,000 years ago, several thousand years ago, they were able to classify and use for the human health more than 2,000 plant species, one by one. They already discovered the salicylic acid at that time, not by 1,000 years later. They knew how to use, again, head, bones, breath, and so on. So then soon later, in year 2000, the biostimulants environment started to germinate, I would say. I was involved in a European project, still at that time. And then I say to the partner guys, why should we stick with a product which is based on one single species, Ascophyllum? Why the biostimulants work should be dominated by one single plant? The plant's kingdom is wide. So let's go there, go into this mine and try to see what's happening there. And that's the real start. So the new sprouts emerged in 2001, 2002. From then, that time on, the flow went ahead, became bigger. So that's shortly the story.
Okay. Which type of approach you had in mind? You just mentioned Ascophyllum, but which is your approach?
Yeah, that's I will develop the concept that already Mark started to explain. So I did say, okay, it's nice that the video has been made. It's very nice because it tells about plants that have been in the middle of year of evolution, developing specific traits, specific characteristic related to the environment. So I said to myself and to the small team I was working with, so that's was the team. Let's try to reverse the approach. So why, in a specific time of a plant's life, there is there is a moment in which the plant is not able to respond. So why we don't look to other plants that have this ability? What is there? Can we get out from this plant the products, let's say plant products that are responding and use back to the plants? Is this system working or not? That was the key question I made to myself. At that time, if you look to the scientific papers at that time on biostimulant, they were almost zero. So I looked behind, there was no science behind us. So how can we go ahead? So then we started thinking. But then we defined later on with this group of people that are sitting here today in Iperen and in Lambda, we did define the SMP concept, so standardized metabolite phytocomplex. So 4 key words. Standardized. If you want to have a specific answer, we need to make a specific question. If you, Dusan, you make me a strange question, I cannot give a precise answer. So standardized means I am able to apply to the plant specific what? Metabolites, phytocomplex. So a complex of metabolites derived from plant in a standard way prepared. Again, you see, is an holistic approach. Again, a unit is rebuilt. So not isolating single component, but using a complex of organic material. But then, if so, we need. What's happening? Oh, yeah. We come. Not yet.
Not listening.
Sorry. So, but if so, we need a specific structure. We need to know very well the plants producing, so the genetic background. We need to cultivate this plant in a very precise way, to be able to get out, to quantify, standardize the metabolites, and to end up of applications, which is at the end the ultimate goal you have, on a specific quantity of active ingredients per hectare, per unit of area. That's what we want to achieve. This was the initial structure of our way of thinking.
Then what I can conclude now, it was not easy job. It was, you start actually from zero, and you make a quite good and progress. And today, P4P, what we can say about the project and what is plans for the future, for tomorrow?
Yeah, we started studying, we started evaluating, we started isolating components to see if the single components were able to do something, but was not. So we had to go back to the complexity of the products we were extracting. I mean, so I'll say what I see for the future. For the future is that, as I say, the plants in a specific moment have a specific critical physiology situation. Are we able to respond in this precise moment? Or are we still providing to plants something very generic, hoping, praying that the plants will properly respond? As I see is often done with the common biostimulants. To be open and frank, when we look to the some biostimulant suggestion that can be used in every moment of the crop cycle against every condition, and they're supposed to do everything, I guess this is not the way. This is not precise agriculture. This is commodity agriculture. Try to give something to the farmers and hoping that something's happening. So this is to us what will be the future. Now, if this slide will appear, I will be very happy, because yeah, this one. But Christina will comment again. So where are we today? So this is the so-called non-enzymatic phytochemical. Look, this is like the plant's kingdom. We go to the superfamily down to the species. Where are we today? We are in a specific area with the 3 products you have in the tank now. Yes, we are there. We know more, of course, but look how many components and material are there. And look on the upper right and upper left, there are also two families, and there is another one, which are the nitrogen-containing metabolites. On the left, you have the organic acids. If you combine all these single products together, you have a matrix, endless matrix of phytocomplexes. Plus, you have the sugar. The sugars are also important. Plus, you have a material that might be monomeric or polymeric even. So this complexity you cannot cut. If you cut, the system is collapsing. The products are not active. Why? Very probably because for nothing, the plants do nothing. So the plants are building this complex inside their cells for their survival. If we cut in single components, of course, the system is not operating anymore properly. So back to the unit. This is a very challenging scientific approach because it demands to stay in a specific level, not to go down to the easy methodology, cause effect, compound response, and so on.
Is it the main challenge for you to achieve that?
That's a very relevant challenge, yes.
Okay.
It's one of the challenges, of course, because the scientists, we are coming from the Galileo science. You know, the Galileo science is isolate the factors, study the factors one by one. But in this case, we cannot isolate the factors. Because if isolate the factors, we are in an artifact, we are in artificial conditions, which is not the reality. I had on Monday a discussion with a scientist from pharmaceutical university precisely about that. And the medicine, the pharma industry is in the same troubles because, and we have seen in the last 2 years where the troubles are. So the troubles are related to the fact that we try always to separate things, where instead, you know, we are a unit, a body is a unit. So that's one very relevant challenge. The second is related to the genetic. The genetic of the plants is also moving, rapidly moving, releasing varieties every year. And each variety has a different traits. How are these plants responding to the condition? The breeders say, we solved the problems. Okay, that's a bit, you know, overestimating, because if you breed something for a specific condition, are you sure that this plant is responding to the opposite conditions? The other factor is the erratic variation of the climate. So we never know what will happen. How can we respond to these conditions? So, and then the two relevant, much more relevant conditions that are under the eye of everyone, which are the water scarcity, and the nutrients efficiency. So if we combine everything together, we have decades for researching and innovating, for sure.
And what is the main development in agricultural from scientific point of view today?
To me, the main development is to rebuild again the plants in a one. Haber-Bosch invented urea. Okay, urea was providing nitrogen. Then somebody else invented synthetic pesticides. They were thinking to solve the disease problem, and they did something. Then somebody is inventing the biostimulants. Then we have 3 different laws. We had pesticides, fertilizers, biostimulants. Now one law maybe is getting together, but still, you know, we artificially divide. So to me, this is to me the most relevant factor. How to respond to plants' needs in a comprehensive way, in a holistic way, and not just looking to the factors one by one. And for the science, that's very challenging because, you know, if you talk with a scientist, a university or a professor is getting shocked because they are focused on one item by one. Here we are looking in a different, but I guess that the job we have done in Landab in the last years with a lot of scientists around us is really moving into this direction.
Now being back to P4P products, what is in the pictures?
Well, P4P is not the solution, of course. It's one of the pillars. I would say yes. If we keep stable the concept I said before, how can we support plants in some conditions? There, I would say biostimulants and P4P especially can have a very precise role. They are tools for enhance, for example, positive responses when conditions are in a comfort or subcomfort. That's an hypothesis because we never know if the plants are in comfort or subcomfort condition. I would say in another way, phrase different, when the plants are close to their genetic potential for the specific location where this specific plant is. So if I have a specific variety of wheat in a location with a potential of 9 tons per hectare, for sure this plant is a comfort when it's reaching 9 tons, but if it's at 8, 7, 6, the plant was not living in a comfort. Maybe I know the conditions why, but sometimes I don't know what was happening. So this is the role, or one of the roles. The second is to, which is very relevant, support the plants when the variable, unexpected, abiotic external conditions are appearing. And here we have to be very precise and accurate, because what we know from physiology is that plants are responding between 24 and 78 hours after a strange event is happening, with a stable response, because the plants are responding very fast. If the light is going down, the plants are responding. Light up, the plants are restarting their activity. But if something is happening like a heat wave, it takes 2-3 days before the plant's physiology is responding. Biostimulants can help there. But then you understand, being close to farmers, we have also been very close to farmers to understand when this event is happening. When is the right time to make an application of an external product to support this condition? Because it cannot be done a day after or a week before, because the plants simply start to respond. If nothing is happening, goes back to the comfort condition. And we apply something which is instead or either doing nothing or even worse than not applying. So this is, in my vision, the P4P and all the specialties that Van Iperen and others are producing, they have to be transferred in a proper way to the farmers. So the proximity between science, technique, and application, so this long track has to be shortened dramatically to have a reaction very quick in responding to the conditions. So that's, to me, a challenging task, which cannot be solved by science, of course. It has to be solved by these gentlemen and gentlewomen who are in this room with the farmers when things are happening.
This is the challenge for all of us, for sure.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much for the conversation. Now, I would like to say that I think we heard a lot of news, a lot of good things about sustainable farming, about organic farming, and I would like to invite you to answer some questions. I'm completely sure that you had some question in your hand during the speech. Can you please be free and ask the question to my colleagues, and we will be able to answer. I don't want to ask someone, but I'm completely sure. Please.
You have said about bringing this material from plants to be used as a stimulus for the plants again. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Can we know which plants? Is it completely plant or part of a plant?
Yes. Is some? Oh, it doesn't matter. when we say plants from plants, means we take out from the part of plants the part which is producing the specific phytocomplexes. We take out these complexes, we characterize at molecular level, we standardize, and we formulate. They formulate, they industrialize, and then we give back to the plants. And we look to the plant's reaction. So we see and we saw that the plants are responding precisely to the compounds, to the actives complex we apply back to the plants.
It can be either the fruit, it can be the roots, it can be the leaf. So in fact, the first two products, the Vita and the Good, we're talking about the fruit. In regard to the Terra, we are talking about the root, and we have a third product under development where we talk leaves. So it could be all plant parts.
Then next question. Okay. Here we are.
Okay, which main ingredients do you have extracted to use for the P4P products?
This is secret.
It's a secret. I'm not able to retain secrets. So.
So no, it's if you talk about the Vita and the Good, we talk about flavonoids and organic acids. And flavonoids, as Adriano already explained, is a very broad family, but we know exactly which type of flavonoids we're talking about. Similar to the organic acids, it's a container definition, of course, but also there we exactly know which organic acids. If you talk about the Terra, we're talking about heterosides and organic acids again. Also there, heterosides, container definition, but we know what we're talking about.
And if I may add something, we, as I said, but I went very quick, I guess, we try to isolate the single components or to increase the quantity of a single components, but the effect dropped. So in fact, the precise extraction of the combination, which is at the end a molecular combination, which we then isolate by HPLC and other tools, but we don't know how they are really within the extract we get. This is the complex, is the active.
Thank you very much. Next question. Here we are.
You talked about precision time of application. Can we expect every time the same results from the plant? For example, we are targeting PUE. What is the window of application to target, let's say, phosphate use efficiency or water use efficiency?
Alex made a very crucial question. Let's ask, yeah. No, the first one is the easiest to me. We have, but Christina will talk far more about, but we say repetite iuvant, so she will repeat again and we'll understand. So, no, for Terra is applied to soil. So there we have a combination of effects, in fact. So not only one. We saw the microflora responding, interestingly. We saw the phosphorus, available phosphorus moving from the pool of the insoluble to the soluble. If a direct effect via the microflora, via the plant exudates, still some question marks here. But we saw also the plants responding with the enzymes which are moving the phosphorus inside the plant. So it's a complexity of responses we can see. That's one case. The other, I would say, is probably more direct because it's related to the antioxidant action. So there we know that hours is the time in which plants are able to mobilize their own energy. If you want to respond, yes.
Yes, before you spoiler all my presentation.
No questions.
No question. Can I just add something?
Yes.
Say the same thing. No, just to answer to Alexander's question, of course, the time of application is very important. So for PUE, so for Terra, we think that the best time to apply is very early in the crop, so when actually phosphorus is more needed. While for water use efficiency, we think that actually you know that, Alexander, because you use it quite a lot. But okay. I think that it's best applied as primary, so before the start of some very stressful events like heat stress or like heat stress or water stress or this kind of things. Actually, we saw that it was also not just helping the water use efficiency, but it was also increasing quality of some fruits like grapes. Actually, there was quite a nice experiment on grapes, and so that there was a very increase of quality, so it can also be applied later. But let's say that mainly before a very stressful event.
Thank you very much. The gentleman in white shirt, you want to ask something? One ask a better price.
We will send this. One question, do we know about the protection period that we have from the time of the application? Like this year in Romania, we had some periods of heat waves, then we had like some good temperatures, rains, and then more time of stress. So do we have a protection period? Let's say we apply for water use efficiency and then we wait, let's say, we can say that we are in the good part, let's say like the fungicides, like a direct approach.
Good question.
We have a new joiner.
I'm okay here. Thank you. No. Thank you. I'm okay here. No, that's a very good question actually, and it's not very easy to answer because with fungicide it's it's a completely different thing. Still, we see effects for some time after, but usually a repeated application is needed. That's why we usually do 2 to 3 applications of the product in the windows before what you think is going to be a stressful event. It's not easy to tell exactly how much it will last. But also for fungicide, it's 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more for some particular type. So yes, it's more or less like that. We saw effect changing in the metabolites. I'm still spoiling my presentation tomorrow.
Yes, please don't.
No, you will see tomorrow.
Thank you.
This
Gentleman.
Dushan, yes.
To complete the answer to the question.
You would like to feel I'm
Sorry, Alexander, but just Rudy. Actually, what we saw, and I'm going to show it a little bit later also with some of you in the room, is indeed the repeated applications. And what we saw is that the most important thing is to have as much as possible protection over the span of the stress period. So you will see, for example, with Jan Peter a little bit later also from the Netherlands on potatoes, that they had different results based on the timing of application. And we saw this also almost everywhere with the trials, but also I'm not going to spoil my presentation, but we're going to get to this.
Thank you, Alexander. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I already forgot my question in regards to everybody.
Sorry.
Yeah, one personal question to Andriana, especially maybe Mark also can help, because we have to convince our growers and clients to use these products in the future, because now is the start, like Dushan said. So they would like to hear about what they will achieve and what will be the benefit from that use. We know from our side, but the personal question would be, what is your personal feeling, having in mind the results from all the tests that we made in the past, and your expectations when you start this project? How satisfied you personally is with the results? So in general, maybe somewhere you are more satisfied, somewhere less, but personally, what's your feeling? How satisfied you are with the results?
So 10 years ago, I started with this, the products that are now you can now use. I was expecting a lot for Vita and for Good.
less from the Forterra, and then I always more and more surprised about the results we get from Forterra. Not only me, but also the whole team, I guess. And we are discovering, we are not at the end, of course, that is really responding. So the system is responding, the soil system. That's why we are going now deeper and deeper into the microbiome, which is the other neglected part by the agronomy in the last maybe 40, 50 years. Now getting a new spring, the microbiome studies. And to us, this is really Forterra targeting the microbiome. And there, I'm very happy about what we see. So if I have to be open, I would say, no doubt. So the product is really giving something to the system. Maybe not visible all the time, and that's the other surprise we had. We had a target. The target was we want to achieve a statistically significant difference, this stupid sentence, at least in 75% of the cases we were studying. And we arrived there. So that for us is very satisfactory because we got this information back. For life and for good, Vita for goods or life, Vita, come on. And those are more tricky because they are related to conditions, stress conditions. So then you have really, as Zahid said, and you will see, you have really to find the right moment. So you have another factor which is making the application more critical. We got very nice results, sometimes neutral results. So there, the noise, the environmental noise is much higher. Therefore, and also other conditions can influence this application. But in principle, and to be honest, I started with a 4 Vita. So this was the first product 10 years ago I started to work with. And now it's there. Okay.
If you want to add something.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Just to confirm and to add some adding to your question, Terra, we did not expect such very good result, particularly on different trials that we did in France, in south of France. For sure, it's not only a question of PUE, because in some situations, the power of fixation of such or such soil regarding P is not so high. And thanks to the very last research that you validate regarding the effect on microbiota or microbioma, we could expect much more effect. So just to give you an example, that Zai will present the apricot trials result, it's not only because of the P, because clearly when you increase by 20-25% the yield, it's not because you decrease or you increase the PUE of the fertilizer, definitely. So that's why it was very interesting to go deeper in some research, and this is what Landlab did. I don't want to spoil your presentation of tomorrow. No, because I didn't claim what would be the deepest research. Okay, we were more than surprised.
And if I'm then allowed to answer this question with the cap of the farmer, indeed. I've watching the entire project very, very closely, of course, and it was part of the entire project. But then still to use these kind of projects on my sugar beets, which last year, deducting all the costs, was around 1,340 euro per hectare as a profit. It's quite a step, of course. So, and that's why really seeing is believing. So it is, I think, very important for all of us to really also start spreading the news and start trying to find growers that are willing to do it. I also tried it on my seed potatoes. Of course, on seed potatoes, your profit is higher. And next year, my sugar beets, due to the increased sugar prices, will also be higher. So you have more room to maneuver. But really seeing is believing. I have a very skeptic neighbor, a very extremely skeptic neighbor, which is really old school. But I said, please try it on your onions, planting onions. And this spring he came back to me. He said, "Mark, where can I buy it? Can I use it?" So that is, I think, the important task for all of us really to make this project fly.
Thank you. Extra hand, someone wave to me? Maybe you can share your experience with cucumber. In Terra, yes? Actually, you are not involved. It is in cucumber.
That's why we have a team. I know the one with watermelon.
So to be honest with you, we planned this year for Terra trial in melon. Everything was agreed, and farmer before melon is transplanting the cucumber. And the guy told me, and he told me, Dusan, he had a problem with seedlings. He pushed the Terra, and seedlings was perfect, and the product is wonderful. And he stopped to be honest, we don't use name of the farmer, we use melon guy. and for me it was strange, it was too early for melon. And tomorrow I call him, is it melon? No, Dusan, he used for cucumber. Actually, he realized he had a problem in the farm. He saw in his stock the product, something completely new. He knows 5 liters per hectare. Keep that and put Romanian attitude. Yes, keep that and push in.
Oh, let's put this.
Yes. And after 7 days, he saw visual effect because seedlings start to grow really fast, and this is the Forterra surprise.
The other idea was that he liked the product, so he asked approximately what was the price of the product if he wanted to use in the future. And we gave him the price, and 2 weeks he was not responding on the phone. He was not answering the calls anymore. So that's, he was very happy, but in Romania, until you put your hand in the bucket of the farmer, everything is nice. For free, everything is amazing.
Yes, but we have for wood in your stock 600 liter, and Andrew told me, Dusan, give me a recipe for good in watermelon, we will sell that. Okay. No, this is distribution part, but it's good to share because we are all together here. Distribution, innovators, sailors, everyone, farmers. Yes?
I can do it along with you. For the arable part, for wheat, for corn, for soybeans, the pressure on the price is very high, and it's very difficult to show results, especially if it's a good year or semi-good year. What are the things that we should concentrate on for the farmer to show the difference? Because unless price jumps more, it's very hard to justify the use of these products.
I think there is also still an important task on our shoulders. So I definitely think that with the current price setting, we are able to reach the cash crops, so the really high value crops. But indeed, in order to convince farmers to use this on barley, on wheat, or on soybean, I think today it's still way too costly. And we at our side, and that's also why this conference is not an ending, but it's a beginning. So we are working hard, also together with Euroliquids, also together with LandLab, to look at ways to decrease the cost price per hectare in the end, and that's really to reach the arable farmer, the row crops. That's I think an important thing. With the current situation, with the current price setting, I think the cash crops like the melons, like the cucumbers, it's a different ballgame.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
To respond to your question, when we started, one of my first targets was precisely the row crop. So wheat was one of what I had in mind. Why wheat? Because wheat is the baseline of the nutrition in this world, and we see today the value of wheat, which is wheat can last only on the climatic condition. There is no any other tools to cope with changes. So you cannot irrigate, you cannot do almost anything. What is happening is happening. In some countries, the wheat yield is very low.
and it's getting low when the drought is arriving. And that's why we did many tests in deep south of Italy, in Sicily, so in the Mediterranean zone, on Durum, with for Vita, yes. And then we got very nice results there. But when we started, the raw material cost was dramatically lower than today. And so this also something has happened, and maybe tomorrow is low again. We don't know that, but from the rest you're right. So, but at that time the raw material price was very significantly lower. So the final product at that time was achievable also for let's say poor raw crops. So that's reality. Thank you.
Any other question? Yes, please.
I assume
New
that
round.
it will be a patented product, right?
Yeah.
For how long?
For how long?
How long?
What is the official period? What is the official period?
What's your question?
Depends.
Because he wants to copy it now.
No, it's not,
20 or 25 years.
yeah. The idea that I want to know how much I need to invest.
Yeah, IP protection is of course very important, and patent is one of the ways to protect IP, but it is just one of the ways. If you also look, for instance, at the big companies like Unilever, nowadays they hardly patent anymore because it is also a way to give competition insight in what you're really doing. So I think what is even stronger is that the much stronger than the patent is the fact that we are swimming in a so-called blue ocean, meaning that we have a team around us that is able, and also together with you, but able to develop very quickly and also able to introduce it in the market very quickly. And that is, I think, far more valuable than any patent you can imagine.
And probably more than the patent is the whole process a crucial factor, because it took Mark and me mentioned before, we are starting from specific species and varieties. It took years to find the precise source, and then it took years to find the precise method of extraction to preserve the components. So if somebody would like to copy, please, the world is free, they can start the journey, but it will take at least 10 more years for them as well, because that's the story, I mean. And then to develop a project like this, yeah, we know how hard it was, and to reach all the countries and farmers and distributors, so the team knows very well. So it's a long journey, good, but meanwhile we will not stay sitting and sleeping. We will keep awake and keep on going. So the competition is clear, but we like competition because at the end the innovation is based on competition, so on fair competition, hopefully.
Call me, we will make a difference. Okay. Any other questions? Or okay. If we finish with the questions, I would like to say now that we will have a little break, for a coffee break. It will take us half an hour. It will be here. I would like to invite you at 4 o'clock to be back in the room. We will continue our conversation with the P4P trials. You will see really interesting trials and results, what we achieved in the previous period. It will be till 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock we will finish, and you will have a time to check in your room and to be prepared for, yes, sorry?
Check-in is done. You will
Check-in, okay.
I will check you in, and you can continue for your room.
Then our Patricia already helped us. He checked, you will ask Patricia for the key of the room, And at 7 o'clock, we will have the dinner, together dinner. Yes. Drink water is available. Yes, water, don't worry. Please enjoy. Thank you. Thank you.